Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Happy Easter. Now, this morning, it's different, isn't it? We're starting with just a picture. And it's not just one picture, there are 9 pictures altogether. Now, I hope you can see them on your screen. Wonder if you can tell me how many of them are alive. Have a look. Well, obviously, the elephant is alive. The butterfly's alive. All those people jumping up and down, well, they're very alive. That beautiful rose, that's alive. And that tiny little dormouse, or maybe it's just a little country mouse, that's alive. I love its beautiful little black eyes, looks very, very alive. And that tree, I think it's a sycamore tree. All of those are alive. That leaves 3 pictures. A leaf, some logs, and some fish at a market. Not one of those is alive anymore, is it? They were once. The leaf maybe grew on a tree like that sycamore, and the logs probably came from a tree like that sycamore, and the fish had been swimming about, but now they're on a market stall. Sadly, none of them is alive. But what about the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures? They're all alive for now, but are they going to live forever? I don't think so. And those things that are no longer alive, could they ever come back to life? I don't think so. Today, we're celebrating, just like I said at the beginning, Christ who is risen. He is risen indeed. Christ didn't just die for us. He came back alive, and he's alive today, this Easter day, every Easter day, every day. Christ is alive. So I'm going to show you how Jesus turned everything upside down. So, last week I read you a story from a book called The Donkey's Day Out. Today I'm going to tell you a story from the best book of all. I think you know what it'll be. Here it is. It's the Bible. This is a very special version of the Bible, and, well, it tells the story of Easter, but it tells it as if it was a special news item. So I'm going to show you these pictures. This picture, it says down at the bottom, is this a happy or a sad time? I don't think it takes an awful lot to think what that is. That was a sad, sad time, wasn't it? Look how exhausted Jesus looks. And the next 2 pictures, you can see that somebody even had to carry Jesus's cross for him. And then we know that he was crucified on the hill. So here, from this Bible, is a version of that story. It says it's from the All Judea Television Network. Special news bulletin. For the past few hours, startling reports have been coming in from the scene of the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. Early this morning, Jesus, the preacher from Galilee, was made to carry his heavy wooden cross. When he appeared to be getting weak, the soldiers forced a man named Simon to carry the cross for Jesus. At the hill of Calvary outside Jerusalem, Jesus was nailed to the cross. There he suffered for several hours. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the man from Galilee cried out with a loud voice to God and died. There was a frightening earthquake, and the sky became very dark. Then one of the soldiers standing by Jesus declared, "Truly, this man was the Son of God." Other eyewitnesses confirmed what the soldier said was true. Jesus was the Son of God. A dreadful crime has been committed. We have crucified the King of Kings, the Son of God himself. Can you imagine if that was a newspaper headline today? Well, here is that little book. Remember I said I'm going to show you how Jesus turned things upside down? Well, this
upside down has the next part of the Easter story. Today, Easter Sunday's part of the Easter story. Is this a happy or a sad time? I think it's happy, isn't it? Just at the moment, it doesn't look so happy because the women are coming into the garden and they don't know, do they? But we know, and we can see where the tomb is empty, and we can see where the stone has been rolled away. We know that part of the story, don't we? And then we know the next part of the story. We know that Mary had come to the garden very early, expecting to find Jesus' body in the tomb. And because it was the early morning, and because she was crying, she could see a figure in the garden, but she didn't know who it was until she heard his voice. And as soon as Mary heard that voice, she knew it was Jesus. And if you look very closely at this picture, you can see that Jesus has the holes in his hands. Mary ran off and told all the other disciples, didn't she? Meanwhile, two other men were walking, leaving Jerusalem behind. And look, happy or sad time? For them, they thought it was an incredibly sad time because they had seen their great friend Jesus die. But as they were walking along, they were joined by another man who had a hood over his head. And while they were talking to the man, he explained to them why it was that Jesus had had to die and talked them through what the next thing that was going to happen was. And by the time these two men got to Emmaus, they had listened to this man who they couldn't quite see, and they felt wonderful because he was telling them so much good news. When they got to their home, the man made to walk on, but the two men who'd walked with him said, "No, no, no, come into our house. Please come into our house and talk some more." So that man did come in their house. And when they were about to sit down to eat, he picked up a piece of bread and he broke it. And at that moment, I think those two men had heard the story of the Last Supper, and they certainly recognized who was in their house. But at that moment, Jesus was no longer with them, because Jesus had made a promise that he would come back to see the disciples where they were in Jerusalem. Just like this, Jesus appeared in the room with them when the door was closed, and he came and stood with them, and he showed them the marks on his hands and the marks on his feet. And as he spoke to them, they realized they weren't looking at a ghost, they were looking at the real, live Jesus. What an amazing, amazing thing that was. Do you know, they had lived with Jesus for 3 whole years, and he had told them again and again what was going to happen to him. And he had told them again and again that he promised that he was coming back in 3 days. And yet, how could you believe something like that when it had never happened before? I don't blame the disciples for being very, very amazed and scared to begin with. But I am so glad that I know that Jesus lives. I know that Jesus lives in my heart. I know that Jesus rose from the dead on Easter Day, and this is the most wonderful Sunday in the year. And yet, every Sunday is the Son of God Sunday. Every Sunday is a day to remember that Jesus thought we were so special that he was willing to go, can I get that picture? To the cross for each one of us and turn our worlds upside down, because we are special to him. Happy Easter, every special one of you. God bless.